1970, we sure we did the forefront. Knowledge for service, for sure we did the work. Auditorium to basement of all faculty of law. We did represent, stand tall anywhere we go. Work hard and we shine, commitment, dedication. Neurosurgery, comedy, music, Nollywood. SOTK, Dr. Call, MC Casino. We did represent, stand tall anywhere we go. Great Uniben, great Uniben, great Uniben, great Uniben.
Welcome to another episode of the Uniben Alumni Series. I'm your host, Kevin Amokao. As you know, this is a show where we promote alumni of the University of Benin, men and women that are doing great works in their different endeavors. And on today's episode, we have a reputable filmmaker and a visual storyteller. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Computer Science, which usually used to be in the Faculty of Physical Sciences, but of recent they do have their own faculty, which is the Faculty of Computing. He's Victor Zaviano. Good to have you. Thank you for creating time to be part of the show. Let's start the conversation from your state, our state, those states. For me, you're an ambassador of the state. You have brought a lot of spotlight, a lot of positive spotlight to our state. Let's talk about your work in promoting Edo culture. You have brought spotlight, the beautiful topography in Ososo, the Sopomba Blue River, the Agenegode River, and all that. You have gone to the length and breadth of the state. I want to ask, which of these your works fascinates you the most when you move around the state? Where have you gone to and you said, wow, is this really my state?
Yeah, I think for me that is going to be when I started really exploring Edo North, because I grew up in Edo North. I grew up in Okwela, like almost majority of my teenage years were in Edo North. So I didn't really leave my village until I traveled to Abuja and then to school in Auchi, then to Uniben. So I wasn't really exploring up until like I became a filmmaker while I was on campus in Uniben. And I decided to be like, my home is beautiful, because when I started traveling outside to other places, I figured out that is the packaging is just what they are selling to us. It's like I'm going to another country, I'm climbing stone, I'm seeing that the stone is literally stone.
You have it as your backyard.
yeah, it's a stone. And then I'm just like, this is not working. So I need to look for a way to come back home and kind of like replicate it. So that was one of the biggest things for me. And Ososo was that place I went to that kind of like made sense. I'm like, oh, this is really fascinating, because it was my first experience was extremely breathtaking. It was amazing. So Ososo is that place for me.
Okay. Recently, the Director General of Edo State Tourism Agent mentioned that Edo can generate billions from tourism. Yeah, do you think we have that as a state? We have that capacity to do that?
I think if Edo State is really ready to make money from tourism, it can. So when I say it's ready, when it becomes priority for states, even Nigeria as a whole, when tourism starts to become priority for us, there is an abundance that we can start to make. Just like Cape Town became bigger than South Africa and then started making money for it as a tourism spot, right? So is Edo to Nigeria, because we have everything. We have water bodies, we have mountains, we have flatlands, we have, name it. We have literally everything, what it takes to hold a state as a tourism hub. So we have culture. Our culture is highly respected across the world. It's one of the most respected culture in Africa. So what else do we want that we don't have as a people?
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
when we start to tap into that abundance, we eventually start to make this money. Yes, there's money in tourism for us as a state.
Okay. While you were answering the previous question, you mentioned that your storytelling, your visual storytelling started in Uniben as a
Mhm.
student. So what influenced that? You were studying computer science. How
Mm.
did you switch to photography, storytelling? What motivated that move?
Um, I'd say growing up, I grew up around this environment where it was always story by moonlight with my grandma and
Wow.
uncle. So I grew up with people who were way older than me. So storytelling was naturally embedded in me. But where it became a thing for me was in um in my first year in school when I had to meet a friend of mine. I was staying a friend of mine. So the friend, she's a girl. She came into the house that day, and she was just using the her phone to take pictures. I was curious. I'm like, oh, how do you know? How does a girl know so much about the camera that I don't even know? I have a phone. I've not even observed this thing. So that curiosity was built in me during that period, and then it became a practice. From practice, it became a hobby. It became a life thing for me. So that was just one of the basic part of it for me.
Yeah, I want to ask, you're studying computer science, going back to the computer science once again. Is there a
Mhm.
meeting point between computer science and visual storytelling? Was there any way you could connect both?
Yeah, yeah, there were some point where I think during my projects when I was doing, was it my project? No, it wasn't my project. The first was my seminar defense. There's this seminar they do
Mm,
before your project, more like
yeah.
preparation for a project. So that was when I did try computational photography as because it's we deal in ones and twos, right? The
Mm,
science behind photography was
mm,
the
mm,
thing where then I think AI started becoming this thing. But you know how Uniben is. They don't teach us. We are not. The system is not preparing us for the future.
mm.
The system is preparing us for the past. I don't know if that's the like for better words to say it, right? Pascal, Fortran, COBOL were those things that were still be taught, right? But then again, this thing was moving, and a friend of mine who was in the medical um, department was like, bro, I think you should just start evolving yourself in computational photography, more like understanding the science behind how these things work. And it was really interesting for me when I started doing a little bit of research. So yes, there was this connection between photography and computer science, but then again, that was on the back end level of things. For me, I was more interested in the front end, in the storytelling part, because that's where I know I can control emotion. I don't really want to delve into understanding the science behind it, but I wanted to know, at least to a certain level, this is how this works, this is why this makes this work, or this is why this system are working. But then again, the core for me was the storytelling, which is
Mm.
naturally inherent, like inbuilt in us as humans.
Okay. I want to ask, why did you choose to study computer science at the University of Benin? What influenced that choice?
Um, Computer science has always been like I fell in love with computers when I was a kid. I think the first time I saw a computer was a very long time ago in my village. So they brought them, and then I was still a child, very young child then. And when they brought the computer, I was fascinated by the fact that it could, when you write a sentence and it's wrong, it could underline it. Because the only time I had is a corrective system there was when my dad would tell me, "Oh, you are saying the wrong English.
Mm,
You don't use two past tense in the same sentence, so you have to be constructive." Like, okay, but then now seeing a machine
During the
spotting those errors was it for me. So it became something I was curious about, but that wasn't my first degree. My first degree was in mechanical engineering in Auchi Polytechnic, which I did my first degree, and I did my other internship and all the stuff. But there was still this part of me that was unfulfilled about the fact that computer is something I love. I want to know why these machines were able to detect this thing. So that's childhood
Desire.
curiosity still in me, yeah, was just still there. And I just wanted to know more about how the system works. So
Okay.
that was what brought me to Uniben. Yeah.
Okay. So how was the school life for you? I've had guests come here and they tell you it was triangular from their classroom to, but for you, how was Uniben life for you?
I was adventurous, so I already had experience with the Polytechnic, so it wasn't a new
Yeah.
environment for me. Yeah, Polytechnic was strange because my life in Polytechnic was triangular. But coming to Uniben, I already made that decision that I was going to be more involved. And I remember when I was in school then, I was like, no, I'm going to pass through this school, and this school is not going to pass through me. More like, when I mean pass through, I mean I'm going to lay my footprint on, like, in Uniben. I want to be known for something creative in the school space, which to a large extent was what I did. And the ripple effect of those sacrifices, especially in the fact that I was telling stories, are what's evident in what I'm doing with Edo State right now on the largest scale, especially in tourism as well.
Okay. Yeah, outside your Bachelor of Science degree, the certification that Uniben gave to you, what are the lessons, what are the attributes you took from the institution?
Family. I built family with people who are very, very helpful. Like, after school, we are still in connection till now. And I look back at the moment, I'm excited. I'm grateful for the fact that I was able to build memories with these people. So these memories are very precious because I'm someone who likes to keep memories, right? If I spend time with someone, I always see it as valuable. I think that also helped me in the way I value stories and in the way I see them. So I kind of like cherish those time I had with people. So I'd say for me, it was the memories I created and the families I made with people who were friends, became brothers, and now are family. Yeah.
Okay. I think recently I saw on your post, you went back to Uniben to give a talk. Yeah, I don't know how many times you've been there after you graduated, but this time around you went to give a talk. How fulfilling is it for you giving back to your alma mater in such a capacity?
I mean, it's exciting. It makes me understand that the world is really designed the way it is. It's like you can design yourself to greatness. You can follow a path to greatness, right? Because at that point in time, standing in that space to talk to these younger ones just made me realize how much the events I was attending to when I was in Uniben as a student in 100 level, how much important they were. Because when they always tell us, you have to try, you have to keep trying, you have to always show up, it never made sense, right? Like, they would tell you this thing, like, oh man, you people don't understand what we are really going through right now. So when second turned into hours and into days and into months and into years, right? And then you start to realize that, yes, it all makes sense. Everything they all said is the same, is true, that you just have to try in the path that you are going and you eventually hit success. So at that point in time, I felt that same energy that, oh, this is what you were getting then. It's about time you gave it to someone who is also going to connect with that and will reference what you are saying now as a beginning to a great path that they also went through. So I had to give it all my full exposure, everything I had inside of me, just pouring it and trusting in God to help me to give more insights. Yeah. So that was how it was for me.
And on behalf of other alumni, we thank you for that. Yeah, that's one of the essence of alumni, giving back to our institution. And let's talk about 2024, the homecoming of Rema. For some of us who were not on ground then, we followed the events from your page. You
Yeah,
gave us insight of the backstage, the
yeah,
preparation up to the event, the concert, and all. It was a beautiful moment, and it was beautiful for Edolites, for all of us, because this is an Afrobeat superstar, one of the best we have in the country, who comes
Mhm.
from our state and represents the culture everywhere it goes. For
Mhm.
Rema, what do you think? You were part of the whole setup, and what do you think Rema represents to an average Edo youth? What do you think Rema gives to an average Edo youth?
Mm. I mean, hope in in yourself, in believing in what you are, and just continuing to show up, right? Because there were a couple of interviews where I was at the same place where I was speaking with the governor then, and it was like my opportunity. It was, I think it was saying it was an opportunity meets preparation. Understand? So when the opportunity came, he was already prepared for it. So he kept on believing that, he kept on doing what he was doing, he kept going, he kept pushing himself out there. So it's that resilience, right? I think it represents that resilience, being able to believe in yourself. And even though it's not happening immediately, because a lot of persons are not patient enough.
Yeah.
And we should also understand that we may have opportunities that will come to us at every point in time, even in our lives, which is one prayer I always like to pray. I say, God, please, moving forward in my life, there are ages and opportunities I've passed, but moving forward, let me be able to be prepared for the next opportunities that are to come in my life, because there are some certain things you will come in, and either you're not prepared enough to understand that this is an opportunity, or you delayed and wasted the opportunity. So these are the two key things that when they spoke to him and they said, oh, can you rap or can you sing to something? I was like, oh, yeah, I can try, but I'm not this, but I can try. But okay, try. And then he tried and then they liked it. You understand? So it was just that opportunity that made a boy who was hungry and prepared to jump on anything. You get? So that is what I see him. I see him as that symbol. And I always still reference the moment and the time, the short period of time I was able to see him really express himself. I think it's his character. There's a character in him that portrays that belief. You can see that he really just believes in what he's doing, and he trusts that he is in the right path. And as creatives, we should always know that you are at the right place at the right time, and you should be able to make the best out of where you are, because something greater is waiting for you to feel that purpose for that point where you are to move to the next level.
Okay. Uh, I'm trying to link this next question with the very first question I asked
Hmm.
about government involvement in what you do for the states and all. What can you say? What you have saying? Do you think our governments at every level, both local and state level, do you think they are ready to invest resources, the state-owned resources, in uplifting our tourism attraction to the world?
In the past, I've really reached out in the past to kind of like extend this handshake to them to see how we could work. I know there were times I had challenges with the previous government and how they handled couple of things, which wasn't really too exciting to a creative who was also vastly aware of what intellectual property also mean, in as much as we are trying to promote
Mm.
the state itself, right? There were a series of years where there was a couple of years where most of my images were used to brand an entire government project without even recognition to the people who were there. But I think this is the point where the government really needs to show up, is to encourage creatives, right? As at that point, I was one of the persons who was actively pushing for this type of government, this type of awareness, especially in the tourism part, on like on full blast level. Like I was just pushing it out there without really looking back, because there was nothing about it. When I went to the Google about Edo State, you always see politics. There was no imageries that could really show the beauty of Edo State. So when I started doing it, it caught a lot of attention, and then people just started, go to social media, download, print an entire calendar and start to publish it and start to sell it, right? Without reference to the person who was creating it. So, but I mean, for me, I didn't really take it personal then, because there were a couple of persons say, "Oh, go to court, sue them." No, I personally wanted it to go far. I wanted the images to circulate. I wanted people to get to see it. But then again, I knew that you can't hide the person who is below. Like, if there's something like smoke, you can't. If smoke keeps coming out, it shows that there's fire somewhere, right?
Yeah,
So you can't kill the source for the longest of time. I mean, we are right here having this conversation. At the end of the day, you got to know that, oh, this is the person that is behind all of this. And so at those point in time, I was just careful enough to be wise about my approach to things and not getting into any issues with the government, but be able to smartly tell the people who were in authorities then that, no, you people are doing this the wrong way. We should approach this in the right way. These things are heavily funded by myself. And how I was outsourcing funding, our rights to people. So we need help. I need to go and explore this place. I need assistance in doing this, because the people in government who I reached out to, they weren't ready to even like support. I don't want to mention names. There are people in the ministry then we reached out to just for boss to access location. They tell us they won't get access to us. So that really reduced the confidence we have as creatives for governance. So for me, I don't want to politicize what I'm doing. It's not politics, right? It's more of what I see, how I see it, and how I really want us to be able to sell our place on global scale. But then again, it's being able to separate politics from the government and being able to do what it should be done. That is where you have to be very intelligent. So you have to be intelligent, because if you reach out to the government and they say, oh, we need XYZ amounts to be able to do this, they want it to be in their, they want to
politicize.
Is this party this, is this NNN thing, or is this PPP thing? So me, I don't want to involve that, because if we do that, we won't be able to, it won't be sustainable for a longer time.
Because party A can come in tomorrow and
the entire effort of figures is gone.
Okay, lastly, you're a reputable filmmaker, and for younger people that want to go into filmmaking, what will you be telling them?
Just do it. If it makes you happy, if you do it, and at the beginning of it you're not thinking about making money, if you want to do it, like if you're happy, if it makes you happy, if you're doing it and you genuinely feel happy about it, just do it. Like, I was excited when I was called up one time by some friends of mine who were with the British Commission to come and document an insurgency project in Maiduguri. I was excited. I wasn't scared. Even when it fell on the major exam I had on campus, I was ready to give it up for it, which I actually still did. You get? So for me, I was like, oh, I could come back and write my exam the next day. I don't really mind, right? But that project, I might not be able to have the opportunity to do it again. It might not work for another person, but it was that passion for me. That was the way I really saw storytelling then. So if it makes you happy, just do it, because it's going to lead you to places. It's open doors for you. There are a lot of international awareness we've been able to gather from just simple opportunities. So you never can tell. For young filmmakers out there, if you don't have the camera, it doesn't stop you. Just go out there. If you can't tell the story with your camera, put the idea in your head, because everything comes from here before you go to the camera. So build yourself, build your mind, and expand from there.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you for creating time to be part of this series.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a
I've been
pleasure.
speaking with Victor Zaviano, a filmmaker and visual storyteller. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science from the University of Benin. Continue to subscribe to our channel, bringing more exclusive interviews of Uniben alumni. Bye.